How could you?
What's wrong?
Our anniversary, Mark. You forgot it.
Sarah stared at Mark, disbelief flooding her face. He had forgotten their anniversary. Again. Mark ran a hand through his hair, his usual carefree demeanor replaced with a confused frown. Mark's face blanched. He mumbled an apology, but the damage was done. Sarah, feeling unseen and unappreciated, lashed out, her words laced with years of accumulated frustration. Mark, in turn, became defensive, the conversation spiraling into a bitter argument. The air crackled with unspoken resentment. They were supposed to be celebrating, reminiscing about their journey, reaffirming their bond. Instead, they found themselves on opposite sides of a chasm, their hurt feelings widening the divide. The day, meant for joyful celebration, was now shrouded in a heavy silence, punctuated by the echoes of their harsh words. The rest of the day was a torturous dance of avoidance. Sarah retreated to their bedroom, seeking solace in the familiar scent of their shared pillows, a scent that now carried a tinge of bitterness. Mark, feeling equally wounded and misunderstood, left the house. He wandered aimlessly through the park, the laughter of children and the chirping of birds grating on his raw emotions. As the hours ticked by, anger gave way to a gnawing emptiness. Sarah reread old text messages, reminiscing about their shared jokes, their silly arguments, their whispered declarations of love. Each message was a poignant reminder of the man she loved, the man who had made her laugh until her sides ached, the man who could still make her heart flutter with a single glance. Mark, too, found himself replaying memories of their life together. He remembered their first date, the nervous excitement, the way Sarah's eyes had lit up at his jokes. He remembered their first dance, her head on his chest, the feeling of her warmth against him. The memories, once a source of joy, now felt like a painful reminder of what he feared he was losing. As the sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the city, a wave of longing washed over Sarah. The anger, though still present, felt less important than the ache in her heart, the yearning for her husband's familiar presence. She missed his warmth, his laughter, the comforting weight of his hand in hers. Meanwhile, Mark found himself drawn back to their home, an invisible string pulling him towards the woman he loved. He remembered the way Sarah's eyes crinkled at the corners when she smiled, the sound of her laughter, the way she always knew how to calm his anxieties. He realized how much he needed her, how empty his life would be without her. The walk back felt agonizingly long. Each step was a battle between pride and love, between the sting of their argument and the overwhelming desire to bridge the gap, to hold Sarah in his arms again. When he finally reached their apartment door, he hesitated, a wave of uncertainty washing over him. He took a deep breath and knocked gently. The door opened, revealing Sarah, her eyes red-rimmed, but her expression softening as she saw him. The sight of her, vulnerable and hurting, broke down the last of Mark's resistance.
Sarah.
And in that moment, all the anger, the hurt, the unspoken resentment seemed to melt away. They fell into each other's arms, clinging to each other as if their lives depended on it. No words were spoken, none were needed. The silence between them was finally a comforting one, filled with the unspoken language of love, regret, and forgiveness. That night, they talked, really talked. They spoke of their hurt, their fears, their insecurities. They listened to each other, not with the intent to respond, but with the desire to understand. And in that understanding, in that shared vulnerability, their love found its way back, stronger and more resilient than ever before. For they had learned that love wasn't just about grand gestures and celebrated anniversaries. It was about the everyday moments of patience, forgiveness, and the courage to communicate, even when it was hard.